What makes Colette Baron-Reid's Oracle decks unique? Well, that is what we're going to be discussing in this video. Oracles can be tools of communication because Oracle cards are very much about um, communicating with the with the divine. So Oracle cards act as that bridge to the divine. It's where you're communicating not through words like how we communicate, but through pictures, images. That's how they speak. You're supposed to, when you pull an oracle card, you're supposed to get it intuitively. You're supposed to understand the oracle card intuitively. You're supposed to, um, see the image. And I recommend journaling with oracle cards so that you can sit with the image and, really consider what the omniscience are. Consider what the messages are in that image, with what it is saying, with what it is doing, with what it is jumping. That's very important. Now, Wisdom of the Oracle is one of Colette Baron-Reid Oracle decks. And in this deck, the cards picture um, animals, nature, and other symbols in this deck in the various cards. Using oracle cards helps you achieve peace, prosperity, and love. Now, the guidebook. I want to get into the guidebook of Wisdom of the Oracle. Now, the guidebook is broken down into sections, an introduction, how to use the cards. The guidebook is broken down into several symbols, into several ways of going about it in various ways of being that could come out in the nature scenes. So, the guidebook has essential meanings, which give an overview of the card, the meanings of the card. The guidebook also has the meaning of the card going on in it. And then it also has prosperity message, relationship message, and then the protection message. And the protection message is really all about, um, it's really all about the card being reversed. And so when the card is reversed, it is necessarily speaking to the way of going. And that is very put. When the card is reversed, it is a signal that we are not doing the opposite of what the card is saying, but we are considering that the universe is giving us an extra hug with that, protection message, like, extra message, like you need to follow this. Oracle cards are great tools for spiritual growth. Now let's talk about psychics, because this is another piece that is very, very huge and up in the charts. Um, the very, very huge thing is that you are not broken. This is not coined by any particular person. This is a common phrase. You are not broken. What it means if you're not broken is that multiple ways of going about this. I'm not going to go into that. And I forgot to, whoops, I realized that I forgot to make this image. There we go. Okay. So psychics. When you find there are problems that need to be fixed, that's where it comes into play. So that's what you're not broken. Problems with yourself emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. Spiritual amnesia is actually forgetting that you're connected to the divine, forgetting that you're connected to source, that you live your life on autopilot, that you live your life munching all the greeneries up to the battens. You live your life in a way that is left-brained, that is very logical, very methodical, very A plus B equals C. It could also mean that you're living your life in a way which is just very um not Satan, but in a way which is very, very disconnected from spirit. So sometimes psychics can confirm things that are accurate to us. We get a psychic reading of psychics and it's accurate. Sometimes it's not so accurate. And they wonder, are they frauds or is it just coincidence? Or is this, luck of the draw? When they don't confirm the things that you want them to confirm, we get worried, we get stressed, we get anxious. When we expect them to say something and it's not what we think it is, that's how we get. When they deliver bad news, we don't like to hear it. But if you go for a psychic reading, if you go to see an oracle reader, if you go to see an intuitive counselor, please be open to whatever guidance that they give you. That you don't have to follow it. You do not have to follow that guidance. And I want to talk about this. This is so huge, I think, that we get when we do oracle cards. I certainly have. Is you read the guidebook, you get the messages from the card, and we think we have to do exactly what it says. That is a very limiting way to live life. That is a very monotone way of living life. And that is not sustainable. You can't do every single thing that it's telling you. You can't live your life and always think about it, always do it. Yes, you can consider it, like maybe I will do this, and be open to consider it, and be curious to whatever new information that you're getting. But you don't have to be burdened and a martyr to following what the oracle card is saying, following what the psychic is saying. Another example is I was listening to a podcast, and the lady is very, very famous. She has a really, really huge following. And this lady was saying, I don't remember what the topic was exactly. But I do remember that she said very clearly, this is not a listening podcast. This is a doing podcast. And I just want to express how wrong that is. I just want to express that because podcasts are made where you're not doing things. You are sitting, you are listening to it. You are sitting, you are listening, and you are because you're interested or you want tips, but you don't have just listen to a podcast and do, everything they're saying. I mean, YouTube videos are the same way, except if it's like a yoga video or something. That's probably one of the only exceptions. But other than that, or a meditation video where it makes sense to do what they're saying while doing the video. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people giving you tips and advice and you having to follow that advice. And this is kind of the same way with Oracle cards. Well, the truth is you don't have to follow that advice. Because it's like I have zero interest in when people say, this is what you should do. Zero interest, and I totally disbelieve in it. I don't want to be told what to do. When we are told what to do, we shut down no matter what it is. I don't care what it is. If it's helpful to us, if it's what we were looking for, it doesn't matter what it is. If we are told that we have to do it, we got to do it, like the person was saying, and that you must do it. If we're told what to do, we don't want to do it. We won't do it. We're resistant to it. But if the person says, well, these are some things to try. These are some things that you could consider trying. Um, one of the things that you could do is this, or, um, 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 I want you to do this. That whole thing about, I want you to, like that, we have to get rid of that. And so, human nature works in a way where, as I said, we become resistant to it. So, long story short, don't look to cards for to be told what to do. Like, tell me what to do. Tell me. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Look for insight. That destroys curiosity because you're burdened by what to do, and when you expect that you're going to get limitations, you're going to get limited answers because one of the reasons being not all the cards are going to say action-oriented cards. Some are going to be um like have gratitude or remember you are loved or go with the flow. So it becomes confusing. You don't want to separate out any messages from any other. So all of it, let's make it simple. All of it, no matter what the message is for your consideration. You may do it if you feel called to, you may do it if it feels right, but you don't have to. So, um, now I want to talk about after the psychic reading. What do you do in your life after the psychic reading? Do you dread and have nightmares because of what the psychic said? Or do you expect that what they say is going to be happening? Or do you live your life on your own terms? Do you live your life on your own terms? What this means is when you live your life on your own terms, you are co-creating with the universe, you're manifesting your reality, and you are not necessarily being burdened by what to do. You're not being burdened by the telephone ringing in the other room. You're not being burdened by the picture on the wall for something like that. Don't believe everything that psychics tell you. Take it with a grain of salt. Take everything that they're saying with a grain of salt. Because when you don't do this, you find rummages and wreckages and roomages. You find that you become very stifted in the mechanism of your life that could be not working, like the cogs in the machine are not working. When you believe everything that psychics tell you, then you're one-sided, you're skewed, you're not living a life on your terms, when you're not researching information further for yourself, you're not open to other sources of information. That's what can happen when you do that. So don't do that. That's what I'm going to say not to do. That's what I'm telling you. Preferably don't do. Okay, that's necessarily like, but like there's some things like don't be a racist or don't be a perfectionist. Those are things like that you must not do. But there's some things where if it's like the doctor telling you you must eat it, then that's where doctor's orders comes into play. That's where it's your body, it's your health. You do what the doctor is telling you, no matter what. However, when it comes to spirituality or the humanities or those kind of things, you don't have to do it. Unless it's for your health, necessarily speaking, unless it's for school, unless it's for work. Those are the things that I can think of right now. But there's a lot of cases where you don't have to do it. They're just suggestions. So going back to what I said about the podcast, doing in podcasts are an oxymoron. And there is no such thing as a doing podcast. Period. No such thing. Nope, no, no, no. There are doing videos, very few, like few types of videos, but most aren't. I guess cooking videos if you want to cook all the cooking. Anyway, so now I want to talk about oracle cards being roadmaps for your soul. So, the very, very first thing is that when it comes to using oracle cards, you need to surrender to spirit. This is very, very important because if you don't surrender to spirit, you'll be frantic, you'll be avid reading, you'll be perhaps, neurotic if you're not surrendering. But other than that, when you give up control, when you stop trying to push things or force things to happen or, fight for things to happen, when you surrender and allow the universe to work through you and work with you, and when you co-create your life with spirit, you find that life is a lot more fruitful. Spirit will hear in your life. Spirit will come into your life and necessarily do things that support you on your path. So spirit really comes in and necessarily tells you, hey, this is the thing to do. This is the thing to want to have happen if you want all these kind of things to work out. This is the way to do it. This is the way we do it. Um, and so, be open to when spirit appears in your life. Spirit wants more for you. Your ego has these grand visions and ideas, and you want all these things, but spirit has more for you. Spirit is like, I have a plan for you that is beyond your wildest imaginations. You are not tapping into your potential, where you could be, um, you, I mean, you could be playing Sticks and Spoons, or you could be playing the New York Philharmonic. It's how you live your life, and are you following spirit? Are you fulfilling spirit? Are you living spirit? And so, spirit is, what is, tapping into your soul and tapping into your divine essence of, what your soul wants, not what your ego wants. Using your intuition along the way with that. You can also use divination to solve your problems. Not solve the problem. It's up to you to solve the problem. I should clarify this, okay? Oracle cards won't do things for you, won't solve your problems. Don't hand your power over to Oracle cards because literally they can't do anything. That's a very unspiritual way to live when you lose your identity and you lose your power to co-create. So that is very, very important to remember is that um, you can use divination for solutions to your problems. They may provide insight into here's the situation, consider this. Consider going in this direction. Consider trying this. But they won't necessarily tell you what to do, tell you um this is the solution you must follow. This is the solution. This is a solution. There's no the solution. Maybe there is, but there's a solution. It's not one binary, if that's the word for it. But there's multiple solutions to problems, and that's a whole philosophical situation that I'm not gonna get into. Um, using divination to solve your problems. Now, Oracle cards can also help you when you hit rock bottom. When you hit rock bottom, you become very, very depressed, very down for whatever reason. It could be like Colette Baron-Reid got down because of her drugs and alcohol use, and she has a whole story about that. Um, that you can follow. That's, her example. My example, without going too in depth and perhaps boring you with the details, is my regrets about deleting videos, my regrets about um, um, channel surfing. I mean, these little things, but they ruin my sense of abundance. They ruin my sense of interest in life, fulfillment in life. And so I was very unmotivated, very unstimulated the past couple of years, very depressed, very down about these regrets. And Oracle cards became the only thing, probably my obsession, probably my only interest in 2025 at the end of 2024. Um, and so now I have a countless number of Oracle cards. This is going to sound crazy to you. Over 100 decks. Can you believe that? I know it's unbelievable, but Natasha from Wicked Moonlight has way more than me, I can assure you, than that. So before you say, well, you have a lot, go to her channel and you'll be amazed by how many videos and how many decks that she has. Anyway, um, So, Oracle cards became the thing that I turned to, and I became very, very depressed, and I turned to Oracle cards. So you can do that when you're hitting rock bottom. When you're caught in negative patterns. Well, I had a negative pattern, OCD. 2022, I'm just going to tell you right now, 2022, the end of 2022 was really, really rough for me because that was when the OCD and the regrets were really hitting in. And then the winter of 2023 was brutal. It was very, very tough. The whole year of 2023, the year of OCD, that time, the whole year, I was washing my hands continuously. I was doing things over and over. Um, I was doing all these things repeatedly in a very, very unhealthy way. And as a result, my hands were getting cracked, and I was becoming a slave to this monster in my mind. So that's my example. And so that's probably one of the reasons why I turned to Oracle cards. But I think the main reason was my depression. So um, in the summer of 24 when I felt really depressed. So Oracle cards give you a roadmap of where you've been and where you need to go. That's what they give you, is this roadmap. This this roadmap that is very huge and debunkalizing. So they give you, they can tell you where you've been, what you've done, what you've learned. You can do a 3-card reading, past, present, future, 1 card for the past, etc. And they tell you the direction that you need to go in short. Now, this is a really, really huge point about Oracle cards, especially Colette Baron-Reid's Oracle cards, because she specializes in this and she's an expert on this. Oracle cards don't tell you the future. They're not going to. This is what we get so confused with Oracle cards is we think that they're predictive. Tarot cards are more predictive, and even those are more prescriptive, but really, Oracle cards are prescriptive. They give you insight, they give you clarity, they give you things to consider, actions that you might consider taking, and they empower you and encourage you and sort of cheer you on to live your life on your terms, with the help of spirit, with considering what the divine wants you to consider. But when you're coming to Oracle cards, be open to considering. You don't have to follow it, but be open. Why come to Oracle cards if you're going to not be open? There's a video that I was watching in short, and she was like, if you're not acting on the information, what's the point? And I shouldn't have heard that at the time. You don't have to act on the information, but you do have to be available. You do have to be open when it comes to using Oracle cards, because otherwise, what's the point? If you're closed, if you're shut down, if you're not open to receiving guidance, then I wouldn't come to Oracle cards in that case. The cards don't tell the future. That's a very disempowering way, because it's like you're doomed, or you have no power and you can't do anything. It tells you it's happening. Isn't it more interesting and exciting and fun when you yourself get to create the story, get to create your reality, get to create your future in the now, get to live your life on your terms? Isn't that more exciting? That's what Oracle cards can, invite you to tap into. You can use spirit as your guide. You can certainly do that. This is the magic of Oracle cards is using spirit as your guide. It can certainly serve as a guide. Now, another point is you can also make what is called a clarity deck. Colette talks about this in her, newsletters and all this kind of things like that, where you can make a clarity deck, where you can take, where her example was she um, used playing stickers and used playing cards for those uh card. And specifically that was what she used to help her with, everyday consciously um having a divine connection to spirit. And I do believe that that is part of what really healed her and what helped her recovery. So you don't need to publish them. There is a way to create them. Now, the cards can also help you transform yourself. They can help you transform yourself through the process of using Oracle cards, from the old you to the new you. From the old you that was probably, I mean, there's many, many examples. Just that's a really, really big thought. I don't want to go any more in depth on that. The more you use Oracle cards, the more you feel that spirit is on your side. And I think it's so important to have a practice of Oracle cards. Now, I have not been doing it because I've been busy with my YouTube channel and finding a solution of how to create videos. I've been not doing that. But when things settle down and when I can focus on other things, I will be, which I think will be pretty soon here, I will be using Oracle cards daily as a practice. And I journal with Oracle cards. Journaling helps me specifically, um, write down what comes to mind and see how it connects to my personal life. That's what journaling helps me with Oracle cards. And so the more you use them, the more you feel like spirit is on your side, the more connected to the universe you become, and the more you use certain decks, the more you get to know the lexicon and the spirit and the soul within those decks. And this is so important. We're not looking at the future. One of the things that Colette talks about is staying in what is called 24 hours, or staying in the now. Um, you could say staying 24 hours, but a simpler way is focusing on what you can do today, right now. That's where your power lies. You can't change the past. The future hasn't happened yet. So that's the reality. Colette has created many decks, such as the Goddess Power deck, which focuses on the many different goddesses, the Spirit Animal deck, which looks at animals um, and their spiritual nature, the wisdom of the Oracle, of course, the seven energies, which focuses on the seven energy centers, not necessarily the seven chakras, the um, um, the Shaman's Dream Oracle. Like she's created 19 decks if you count the other decks that I didn't listen, if you count the pocket-sized Oracle decks that she has created. She has created 19. Isn't that crazy? That's prolific. Not as much as Alana Fairchild, but that's, way up there. Colette and Alana produced the most decks. And I have most of their decks in my collection. Because they're my two favorite Oracle card creators. I think Colette's decks are better, and I think when I look for Oracle decks now, I think I look for um just like, is this going to be suitable for a spread? Because I got a book of spreads that you can, do, and I really enjoyed using it. And so, I found that with Alana Fairchild's decks, for instance, her guidebooks are really, really long. The descriptions are long, and it's too much for a 3-card spread, for instance. Whereas Colette's decks, most every other deck that I have, I could do multiple cards with. Some days I feel like one card, some days two. Anyway, I want to get into my points here. The first thing that I want to say about Oracle decks that she's created is that they help you um, remember who you are. These decks, probably all Oracle decks, this is not just her decks. Oracle cards can help you remember who you are. That's what they can help you do, is remember your purpose, remember why you signed up. You weren't pushed on the bus. Remember that you have a reason to live, you have a purpose. Remember who you are, what you're meant to do in this lifetime, who you're meant to become, what you're meant to step into. And um, when it comes to using them, that's a nut and pine. Now, Oracle cards may help remind you that you are not broken, that you can be fixed. There is, well, well, I shouldn't say you can be fixed. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this, actually. I'm going to talk about this. You don't need fixing. You don't need fixing. I think that we get so caught up in, if I said that before, then I do apologize. I didn't clarify this when I made this presentation. I wasn't thinking in these terms. And so now I'm thinking in this kind of way. So, you're not broken means that we get so caught up in perfectionism, we get so caught up in judging ourselves with, all the flaws that we have. With, oh, I'm doomed, oh, I'm wrong, oh, this is, I'm too fat, or I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I can't get over these regrets. I'm not powerful. I can't control my reality. I can't um inspire others. Like I can't make things happen the way that I desire to. I can't follow my passions. Like all these things. These could be negative beliefs that we have, or many, many other things that we view that we are broken. But the truth is that we are not broken. That is the truth. You are not broken. It's our story. We create the story. There's a card from her Seven Energies deck, which is like about storytelling. And the message is that you create your story. You create, you can write your own story. You don't have to be limited by somebody else's story or your past narratives or your past life that was very negative. You can choose a new story. You can start fresh. You can start a new tomorrow. You can write a new chapter in your story. You get to choose what you want to put in your story. You get to choose how you live your life. You have free will. That's the bottom line. Now, there are several events that Colette Baron-Reid puts on for using Oracle cards as tools for personal transformation. One of those is Oracle Palooza Virtual. Another one is Oracle School, which is her way expensive, course that I can't even take. I'm not going to go on a rant on that, because that's unnecessary. But Oracle School is where you use Oracle cards to help you grow, to help you gain clarity, basically all the things that I was kind of talking about. Another thing that I have listed here is her free live training series that she kind of repeatedly puts on, which is basically a 3-day event where you use Oracle cards for transformation. She teaches, she gives her wisdom and insight. Last 3 days. That's probably not very important, but anyway. Um, so Oracle cards can open portals to your soul. With age comes wisdom, and knowledge plus experience equals wisdom. The Oracle cards can help you gain wisdom if you use them regularly, but you don't need Oracle cards. You gain a lot of spiritual, wisdom through your life. There's many spiritual reasons to go about that. In general, they can give you the joy, they can bring joy in your life if you use them correctly. If you don't use them as like you must do, you use them in the right way, or a way, because there is no right way, in a way that is not limiting, in a way that is not burdensome, in a way where you are really putting it out of state, just to say it simply. um and just a couple reminders. When Colette does announce events, you can go on her website. You can go to see when she is going to announce events. You can join her Oracle Circle membership. That way, that's her Oracle community. Full moon readings are in there, new moon readings, Spirit Jam. She has a lot in there. Um, I used to be there, but for other reasons that I had other values and other things I wanted, so I quit that. But I got out of that. But that was good while I was in there. Um, you'll be the first to know about events. So that's just what I want to say, because the point that I want to make with this is part of being spiritual is knowing what opportunities to take advantage of and what opportunities not to. I think Oracle cards can also help you indicate and connect with your intuition. Like, this opportunity can help you. Can make you grow. This is going to present good things for you, if you consider going in that direction. This is going to be good for you because this is the reason why it will be that way. It tells you, on the contrary, what opportunities to avoid. There's more to life than just the daily average grind and all the things. There's spirituality, there's connection to the universe, there is invisible forces, there's higher forces, there's greater meaning to life, and that's Sagittarius energy, I would say, and Pisces energy. And Oracle cards isn't the only way to do spirituality. There's many spiritual practices: meditation, journaling, breath work, all kinds of exercises that you can do. And so, Oracle cards is a way, but don't think it's the only way. Don't leave this video thinking, oh, now I must use Oracle cards now. If it works for you, if you try it, great. But if it doesn't, then find what spiritual practice works for you. That's what I want to encourage you in that video. And through that, you'll find that your life is a beacon of chalice meltings. So I believe yeah, that's all that I wanted to say in this video, on what makes Colette Baron-Reid's Oracle decks unique. And so, thank you for tuning in, and bye for now.